Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Monday, July 12th at 11:32 a.m. We're going to talk about ideas and thoughts and human nature to be resistant to new ideas and new thoughts. Now, it's obviously very frustrating to many of us, most people that watch me because they're in the crypto space, and we deal with family members and even persons within the very crypto space in which we exist that are resistant to ideas, rational ideas, ideas that make sense. And rationality is really everything. Rationality just trumps all other arguments, but it's very much human nature and prevalent in society for even rational arguments to be dismissed. Um, Folks will often cite other rational arguments to dismiss rational arguments. I encountered an episode on Friday, which was Bitcoin maximalism at its finest. And I remained rational the entire time, just conveying thoughts, but nothing was digested at all, even when the thoughts are in not just my best interest, but people's. Everyone that listens to me, my ideas are obviously quite, I use the word rational over and over again, which I should. That's the foundation for everything that I talk about, the tone and content and context that I provide. It's all based on rationality. And it is what it is, I guess. I tweeted the other day, you could lead a horse dying of thirst to water, but you can't force him to drink. And it's really a challenge of one's own emotional restraint to be able to be exposed to someone who states a broad word, a scam. And because that's clearly just not specific. You can't respond to it. There's literally no reason to respond to such a statement because no matter the response, it won't be digested. Anyone who uses that word is set in their choice, in their decision of how they think about a particular technology, topic, concept, idea, whatever, what have you. So reminds me of how I talk to my daughters. Sometimes it's best to say nothing. Like someone will say something and you respond and it's not really related or not really contextually relevant from a response perspective. It's like they say something's a scam and you're like, I like blue. You just carry on with your own way of thinking. And that's sometimes the best way to respond. Either that or nothing at all. You can't convince people to change their minds. It's like teaching kids. You can't tell a kid what to do. You have to lead by example. And people have to come to their own conclusions. It's the only way to proceed. And which really is the entire way I handle this stream. The entire stream is not about me telling anyone what to do. This entire stream is me telling people my observations, my experiences, and how I see things in context relative to the legacy financial system, relative to the fact that we have to work, relative to the fact that we have self-fiduciary responsibilities as well as responsibilities to our family and often our friends to do what's best for everyone. Lead by example, and you can't tell anyone something that's contrary to their own ideas. Never works out well. But let's dig in a little bit. Let's dig in. I just bought something on an NFT that's clearly quite controversial. I'll show you guys what it is. Charlie G's in the house. Well, let me intro. Irrational resistance to other ideology, to others' ideology, to other person's ideology. It's very difficult to deal with irrationality, especially when you're coming from a rational perspective. Today's episode is sponsored by Change Angel, the non-custodial swap exchange for social goods. Stop depositing on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto, non-custodial DeFi, or nothing at all. Bam, let's pop it over to the main screen and see who's in the stream. Charlie's in the house. Always a pleasure. It's going to be lit. Charlie was in that thread, and there's not much else that could be said. You know, what was referenced was, oh, you could do it all with Bitcoin. That's, the typical Bitcoin maximalist, and that's true. Fuck, you can do it all with Digibyte. You can do it all with EOS. I could run the world on Tron. I don't, come on. There's more. There's more. And what's more is ideas that are not what you're thinking. And that's where conversation and dialogue and the smartest people in the room, which I am not, have a capacity to suppress the desire for an emotional response and to remain purely of logic and reason. Um, that's really the defining characteristic of maybe intelligence or how well a person could engage with people. And I do my best. Charlie will say I did well on Friday, but man, that was frustrating, wasn't it, Charlie? Um, you know, Ethereum is very powerful, and there's no perfect technology. I mean, Bitcoin has a lot of shortcomings, and everything related to Bitcoin, with regard to functional financial system components and functionality, is outside the scope of the core chain. It's going to be second layers. Obviously, Lightning is ridiculously awesome, and products and services that are built on top of the Bitcoin network. And a lot of what Ethereum does is it builds it within the network into the smart contracts. And then you have the whole controversy of proof of work, proof of stake. And it's just a hot mess to try and change people's minds. So it's not worth the effort. I think Ethereum is quite meaningful, particularly from a network effect standpoint, from a functionality standpoint, from a developer community standpoint, from a productivity standpoint. There's a huge amount of value that has been created in the network with all these products and services. There's a huge amount of capital value in the network. These are meaningful characteristics and properties. It's all not just about degenerate gambling. And frankly, the problem there is you go to a casino, and no one's criticizing casinos, or maybe they are, but the stock market's a casino, securities markets, come on. So people are degenerate gamblers in the crypto space. And frankly, I was accused of participating in that degenerate gambling. But that's not what liquidity providing is. And my interest is, who the hell is providing Forex market liquidity? And how do you disintermediate that? I mean, the first step to disintermediating Forex market liquidity is to have a system that can provide Forex market liquidity. Isn't that a rational observation? So there's only a couple of systems on the planet that have the scaling capability and functional capability to disintermediate Forex market functionality. Come on. It's a rational observation. And for myself, the chosen platform is obviously Curve vis-a-vis a variety of derivative products, and everyone knows of what those derivatives are. I mean, clearly the AMMs, all of them are powerful. Could disrupt. They literally provide Nasdaq functionality, New York Stock Exchange functionality, S&P functionality, the markets. The markets. I don't need to name them. Uniswap does the volume. V2, V3. Come on, Bancor's monetary policy is ridiculous. Balancer, Kyber, even Sushi. Functionality is the first thing that's needed in order to disrupt and disintermediate the legacy infrastructure. And that's what catches my fancy. People are going to abuse legitimate systems all the time. Look at GameStop. That's degenerate gambling. You might as well go to a casino. But people don't. And that's a very prevalent use case for the crypto space, degeneracy, which is literally the antithesis of everything I talk about. I literally tell new people to buy USDC and GUSD and get 4% interest. Come on. I started this stream with the premise that I wanted to peer through the madness. I mean, the stream started basically in 2020 DeFi summer, where that was the epitome of degenerate gambling. The rug pulls, whoa. And I saw through it. I saw the technology and what its purpose was, what its function was, what it did, the, the actual services it provided or speculatively could provide in the future. And that was the premise for starting the stream. Peer through the madness, peer through the insanity. That's what we do. Here, let me show you guys what I bought. If it loads. Come on. I bought a fast food punk. This is a CryptoPunk derivative. A zombie, nonetheless. I don't see any apes for sale, which is pretty cool. But I bought it. Clearly, it's stereotypical. It's controversial. It's emotion inciting because we know that we have problems in our society with regard to employment and financial education, and there's great complexities with hard work and labor. And there's nothing dishonorable about working at a fast food restaurant. That's not the whole point. But we know that many people can do better if they only knew how to do better. And deficiency in financial education is a real tragedy prevalent in society. So what's nice about this particular punk is exactly those properties, unfortunately, is it's controversial. It's emotion inciting. And that's the whole point of art. That's the whole point. And art also with regard to unique characteristics, and that's what NFTs are. They enforce unique characteristics, immutability, lack of fungibility. Obviously, the core attribute or characteristic of an NFT in its title. But that's where value comes from. And we all know the value of original CryptoPunks, and these original zombies are worth a ridiculous amount of capital. So this only came out 5 days ago, and already the prices are going up. So I figured, what the heck? Had a couple bucks lying around. I bought a bunch of these llamas. I got a couple of good ones. Don't I have? I didn't get the red halo. I have a couple of decent ones. These glasses are. Oh, I did get the red halo. This is quite rare to have the what was it? Not the demon halo, but this red halo. And the red glasses are very rare, expensive. But I love to tell my wife I bought a fucking pickle. I mean, it's literally called a fucking pickle. I don't have many NFTs, but I got these polymorphs. I bought the low number ones. I bought number 6. Come on. Let's see what happens in a couple of years. You never know. All right, let's talk about some other content. I want to hit some comments. Andrew, hey Noah, can you explain your flip from past videos on Curve going from inflationary to deflationary? Yes, the rocketing, but still millions more Curve tokens released. Yeah, so it's not deflationary, meaning, where is it? I can show you guys. If you go over to convex, I mean, it's all, well, if the convex loads, give it a second. So 164% of daily emissions are locked. 63% of daily emissions are locked. So between convex, Yearn, and Stake DAO, and now Badger compounding, auto compounding convex vaults, it's pretty much either right on the line of being disinflationary or full on deflationary at this point. So that's how. That's actually, and that's what makes it one of the most fascinating monetary policies, because it's disinflationary from the start, meaning the inflation that you're talking about decreases over time. So that's a disinflationary monetary policy. But because of the lockening, that makes it a net deflationary monetary policy where there's actually less circulating supply over time, which is an extraordinary monetary policy because it has inflation, which is more and more assets, which are used to incentivize consumption of the protocol. But the lock functionality decreases circulating supply. I mean, That's like the holy grail of central bank monetary policy, and like heading down the road of like UBI and then stuff where you could give away capital and not debase the currency and trigger excessive inflation. That's crazy sauce. So that's the deal with Curve, Convex, Urine, Stake Dow, and Badger. Charlie. I did hit the topic pretty good. Um, Quite emotional dealing with that stuff, but you do the best you can, and you can't change people's minds, my friend. Sir Joe in the house. Wave, good morning. Ding ding. Good day, family. I just had a testnet interview with an autograph NFT team. Cool project. And I'm so happy to be in the crypto space. I mean, this is the most exciting space there is. I participate in equities markets, bond markets, precious metals markets, forex markets. I'm an engineer. I'm moderately aged. I'm not an adolescent. I'm not of older age. And the tech, the software, the properties, NFTs are awesome. They're unique. And that is they're identical, analogous to art. They're not fungible. A piece of art is not fungible. And with an NFT, you can prove validity and ownership instantaneously. And they're liquid markets, or more liquid than physical art. So it makes sense to me. Everything we're working with makes sense to me, and that means it's also the most exciting because I'm comparing the functionality and the opportunities in these various markets. Wave, one day closer to Flare Network launch, mostly just excited for new buttons to click. Yeah, so Flare's cool. I look forward to using the service, the platform, and so on and so forth. I wouldn't own any of the assets. There's no way to know the value of it because the platform isn't launched, and I avoid speculation at all costs. I don't want to watch an asset go up 1,000%. It's nice to experience that, but I'd rather have a more predictable revenue stream. And that's my interest in these markets. Um, Thank you, Charlie. My God, you did. Keen, any advice for managing crypto assets while in medical school? Taking out lots of loans. So, it's brutal debt, but the debt is so cheap nowadays, and I avoid that. So you'll have dividend investors say, if you don't have a mortgage on your house, you're missing out on money and compounding money. I'm like, yeah, but if you don't have a mortgage on your house, that's a hell of a luxurious position to be in, free of burden. All you have to do is come up with property tax, and it's your home. Some would argue that because you have to pay property tax, it's not your home, but that's just fucking annoying. But point being, absence of debt, yes, you're missing out on financial gain opportunity, but absence of debt is also freedom of burden. And that's something worthwhile to consider. So, from a medical school perspective, finish your schooling, and that's priority. And it's, obviously that debt is a burden that's mutually exclusive. With regard to managing crypto assets, everything you do needs to be passive. You should have positions that you don't have to think about, don't have to worry about the volatility, which may require retraining of the way you think of things. But if you have to be able to sleep at night, meaning if you're worried about volatility, you should be in stablecoins. And there's nothing wrong with stablecoins. You go over to Convex and, wrong page. You're able to get nice yield on stablecoins that beat the pants off of legacy banking. SUSD is decent, 10%. What else would I play with? Where is it? Aave and SAve, 13% and 11% respectively. And those are types of positions that are meaningful. Now, yeah, I know 13% is not going to change your life. It's not 1,000,000% like these stupid farms that people play around with that have volatile assets. It'll go up 1,000%, and the principal will get cut in half, 50%, and you made no money. But that's not the point of the crypto space, and that's not the point of my stream. The point of my stream is to peer through the madness. 13% is life changing. It brings you back to more or less break even with regard to monetary debasement and the inflation rate. I mean, you really need to pull in about 20% on your capital in order to have positive real yield, arguably, or at least keep up with M2 debasement. So there's nothing wrong with stablecoin positions. At least you're doing better than someone with a bank account that doesn't know any better. And you feel bad for someone with the bank account that doesn't know any better, but the fact is you know better. So that's a great opportunity to be able to capitalize as such. Um, sure, there's risk because of tether exposure, and then that's that whole conversation. And that's backed by commercial paper. The whole frickin' financial system is backed by commercial paper. TLT, junk bond market, is negative yield, negative real yield. It's garbage. The debt of companies is garbage. So Tether's backed by garbage. Oh, whoopee-doo, the commercial paper defaults and Tether's worth 70 cents. You think someone who's buying Tether in Southeast Asia to make an international payment gives a crap about the price? No, they care about they buy it, they transfer it, and it'll clearly trigger systemic disruption. There'll be margin calls left and right, and then people have to post more collateral to restabilize their position in the peg of the asset. But that's the way it all works. You have margin calls on leverage positions in legacy finance. Collateral no longer justify or sustains the position. The lending provider says, you got to give me more collateral. And that's the way these systems work. And does that introduce systemic risk and instability? Sure. So so why be more critical of Tether than you are of the junk bond market and the taking out debt based on junk bonds? Why be more critical? That's like singling something out that's doing the exact same thing as a legacy system. So it doesn't make much sense to me. It seems quite irrational, and it seems quite scapegoating, and I don't like that. I don't like it. Charlie G, I felt so bad getting you mixed up in it. The last point I seen you made, I believe, was around 12 midnight. Yeah, it's no big deal. I mean, what was that Bitcoin lending protocol? If that Bitcoin lending protocol fits into the legacy financial system, it's like you have to link a bank account, you have to do KYC, and that's just tedious and laborious and requires human resources. And why is a bank account involved? If you're going to borrow against crypto, why is a Bitcoin? Why is a bank account involved? That just seems annoying, and it needs to be automated. So that system needs APIs because otherwise you need a person to click buttons, and that's just an expenditure that can be eliminated by automation. So short-sighted, and that it was just immature. The protocol is immature, and whole space is immature. Whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, DeFi, it's all immature, and it's getting there. Take time, give it 5, 10 years, and that's the whole point. Everyone's playing around with this stuff right about now is it on the ground floor, and there's risk in that regard, speculation in that regard. But someone bought Amazon in 1999 and watched it go down 95%, and today they're sitting on a lot of money. So somebody had strong hands through a 95% Amazon drawdown. At least one person. So got to embrace the volatility in some regards. Um, Celsius gives you 1% loans, sure, but they also rehypothecate your assets, my friend. They are over collateralized, but they do rehypothecate. So I like Celsius and BlockFi. Would I deploy capital there? No. But from a business perspective, they're saluted because they're doing something that legacy banking doesn't do. So they're saluted because they're providing a solution, functionality, services to the general public that the banking system is negligent to provide. They are negligent of providing innovative products and services. So they are saluted in that regard, assuredly. Absolutely. I see too much opportunity cost. They could outperform the returns that they provide. So that's why I don't deploy capital there. But you got to remember, like average Joe working at Walmart wants to make 10% on dollars, you throw it in Celsius. That's awesome because average Joe isn't going to be playing around with curve and convex. And that's fine. I'm not critical of that. No one should be. We should support people doing anything. If anyone wants to do anything other than the boring, deadly status quo way of life, where you get a paycheck at the end of the week and you put in a bank account and you're barely paying your bills, anyone wants to do anything other than that, the only thing that should be provided is support, education, and education. Because, man, the general public is suffering, and whether they realize it or not, subconsciously, the vast majority are in a state of financial desperation. Heartbreaking. Jeffrey, been DCAing into curve convex for the past month, and I love the pizza shop that has been established. Taking my dividends from Legacy and buying more this week. Love it. Easy sleep. For myself, it is. I've been in these positions for months at this point, and volatility will be what it is. And how do I justify that? How do I justify potentially losing $500,000, $1 million? There's no other opportunity else that is even remotely interesting from a future standpoint, from a 5-year time horizon. These are the positions that I want to grow because do I want to own a REIT, the Realty Income Corporation that buys properties? Are they going to double, triple, quadruple, go 10x on the amount of properties they have? And am I going to get 10 times more revenue in 5 years? Hell no. No. What's going to go 10x over the next 5 years? And not with regard to principal valuation, because you get a one-time return on principal evaluation. You get 1,000% gains. What are you going to do with the capital? You're going to sell it for cash and you're going to have to figure out another position? Can't stand trading. I need revenue streams where I could sit back, relax, let the assets work for me. And I'm not going to get what I'm looking for in REITs and preferred stock and the pathetic dividends of these multinational massive corporations. 0.5%, 1%, 2%. No, I'm not a multimillionaire or billionaire. Sure, if you have $1 billion, you get in 2%. The truth is, $1 billion at 2%, you're still fucked with regard to real interest. You're not getting any real interest. You're not outperforming debasement, so you're screwed. So I don't know what's going on, and I don't know what these family offices are thinking about because family office goes to Cresco Finn with $1 billion and they're going to get 3% on their cash. It's negative real rate of return. They're losing money in value terms. So, something is, I truly believe we're approaching a critical nexus event where something's got to give. 3, 4, 5 on the CPI. But yeah, I don't, something about, the Chapwood index was real. That's the real cost of goods and services increasing. So, economists would say the CPI is what matters, but it's not. What matters is you and I, how much our expenses are, and how do we outperform debasement and deal with interest. Look at the price of real estate. How the hell is someone in college going to save enough capital to buy a home? And I don't mean buy a home and go into debt to buy a home to have to pay off the debt for the next 30 years of their life. It's just debt slavery, it's financial slavery, servitude, serfdom, or whatever you want to call it. That's just wrong. I can't stand folks that are so accepting of the status quo, meaning everyone else does it. Everyone gets a mortgage to get a house. Everyone takes a personal loan. Everyone has credit cards, so I'm going to have debt. No, you can be different. Be different. Dare to be different. Please. I think that's just so important. And that's one reason I love my plays, because a lot of people would say it's the wrong play, especially legacy finance folks, but I know for me it's the right play because everyone else And legacy finance is doing it wrong. And that's my observation. I have no way to achieve what I want to achieve with legacy financial products and services. I want to own a piece of Forex markets, provide liquidity. I can't do that. Legacy finance has blocked me. They said, no, no, no. No, you no do that. And I'm like, fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm going to buy a piece of new school Forex market. Now, people can throw around whatever terminologies they want. AMM, liquidity, LPs, whatever. It's a Forex market. Have a capacity to exchange like value assets. It's Forex. No one can tell me otherwise. It is what it is. Wave, lots of Tether FUD lately. Great. Fun. There's fear everywhere. People have fear buying GUSD, which is regulated back one-to-one with dollars in a bank account. I don't have time for fear. I'm the one who gets up and goes to work, and I have to deal with the fear of being able to provide for my family. So in response to that fear, I'm going to deploy capital to assets that I think are going to achieve my goals. I know dollars aren't going to achieve shit for me. Because literally, that's the worst financial strategy ever to accumulate dollars. I mean, literally, you're betting that the global financial system is going to implode in a deflationary catastrophe. That's dollars. That's a dollar bet. If you're holding dollars and accumulating dollars, you believe the central banks are going to fail, the entire debt based monetary system is going to collapse, and the dollar is going to be worth the products and services on the street are going to just plummet in value because the dollar is going to go up in value through the roof. And that's not overwhelmingly a bet. Even for the contrarians that are deflationists, that's not their bet in the long term. They believe that's the bet in the short term. That we'll have a deflationary contraction, and it's the milkshake concept. And I subscribe to that ideology. I believe we could have very susceptible to a deflationary contraction. You know, the global debt system is dying to deflate. It's trying so hard to deflate, and central banks give it every shot they can to keep the system inflated. It's literally, as Brent says, a bucket with holes in it, and the water's coming out of the holes, and the central banks are pouring water in the top. That's the perfect analogy. And I just rather sit back and not. Well, I do have my short-term deflationary protection using treasuries. Treasuries, bonds, 10 years, and T-bills short-term for cash position. And that's my protection. I think T-bills are better than cash. And around the world, you can't necessarily get exposure, but here in the States, we could easily get exposure using a brokerage account. So anyway, long term, obviously, they want to inflate the crap out of the system. How else are they going to service the national debt with the jet to GDP where it's at? So they need to melt it, and inflation will melt the debt. You need more crypto, says Salute Team. Charlie, I bought a pickle. I told my wife I bought a fucking pickle. Oh, yeah, no, really, guys, I bought a fucking pickle. Where's my fucking pickle? I bought fucking pickle number 24. I kind of just bought it so I could actually say that in real life. These cool curve guys and the alien crypto punk, fast food punk, people making NFTs out of thin air that are valuable. In the end, let them be valuable. I know how much I spent on it. If it's valuable to someone else, great. It's valuable to me. I bought it for me. I bought this stuff for me. Someone, if they go up in value, great. These are my assets. They're not fungible. I own them for me. I wanted to own the low number assets. If they're valuable in the future, great. And this is how art works. Maybe I could have bought fucking pickle number 10 and it'd be more valuable in the future. But this is the one I could get. And it might not be the best fucking pickle, but it's my fucking pickle. The fact that I can say that is so awesome. And obviously, Gods Unchained. I love Gods Unchained because I play it. It's fun. It's awesome. A bunch of gods. I got a lot of gods. I bought that stuff when Ethereum was like $200 a pop. That was awesome. Um, Ding ding, you're making us wanting to buy NFTs now. So, but be considerate of your capital availability and be respectful and don't waste capital, but buy things you want to buy. Sure as hell not doing any good in dollar form. I mean, literally, Monster Rehab number 19 is probably going to do better than dollars. That's pretty sad and pathetic for a nation's sovereign financial system, is what it is. Wave, I own pay me bitch.crypto if anyone. So domain names and the Ethereum names are very meaningful. Igor, hello Noah. In 2 weeks, eviction protection is ending and U.S. debt ceiling Congress decision must be done. Quite a meaningful month. We'll see. Yeah, man. Always a meaningful month. It's never going to end. Maybe they won't increase the debt ceiling and they'll default on their debt on bonds and treasuries. I don't know. But shit, that's why I have some treasuries. Maybe crypto gets put in crashes horribly, and then the treasuries go up 1,000 times on the money. I don't know. So hedge your bets a little bit, and it's all you can do. The most important thing you guys can do is respect yourself and respect your opinions and observations. And that doesn't mean buy Doge, because that's not rational. It means respect your rational observations and your education process, which means you're considering legacy markets, you're considering the processes that people engage with legacy markets to achieve capital gains. Dividend investing is old school. I have no interest in trading, so I really associate with dividend investors in legacy markets. The problem is the vast majority of dividends in legacy markets have negative real rates. So at minimum, I find dividends in the crypto space more lucrative. And that just makes sense. Just makes sense. Noah, what's your thoughts on CVX? Do you think it's undervalued? I don't have opinions regarding undervalued or overvalued. What I know is that CVX is representative of like a 6 or 7 to 1 VECRV voting right. So that's meaningful. I know that CVX yields more CVX CRV than CVX CRV yields CRV. Yeah, say that 10 times fast. These are things I know. Do I know it's a very volatile asset? Yes, it was up at $20, so it's extremely volatile. I know that the Convex platform is really acquiring a large governance right to the Curve platform. I know that's meaningful. That Rect HQ article about convex wars and the wars to own governance rights to the Curve platform. That's a very meaningful idea and concept, especially if Curve is analogous to a Forex market with regard to functionality. So these are very meaningful things to consider. With regard to price, why would I want to sell Convex? If Convex gives me rights to a revenue stream, why would I want to sell Curve? If it gives me rights to a revenue stream, I wouldn't want to sell any of these assets. Good morning. Best place to stake ADA and Matic. Well, the only place to stake ADA is with the platform, I believe. And Matic would probably, I don't know. I haven't played with the Matic ecosystem in a while. I see too much opportunity cost with both those assets right about now. I wouldn't hold either one of them for myself. Cardano doesn't have any DeFi functionality, so it's not really lucrative at all. You got to remember with Cardano, it's a POS, meaning you're staking ADA and you're getting inflationary emissions, which means you're not making any money at all. You're not getting whatever 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% interest, whatever the interest rate is, because that's increasing the supply. So it's inflation. It's debasement. It's debasing the value of the currency. Um, so you're not really getting any interest with proof of stake. It's just worthwhile to consider from a monetary policy standpoint. Matic as well, proof of stake is inflationary. And I don't know if, to my knowledge, there's no circulating supply disruption. And probably, I don't know. I can't give you an answer to the best place for Matic and ADA. There's only one place in the actual staking infrastructure. Mix. Hey, Captain. What's up, my man? And I got pizza. Ooh, I wouldn't mind some pizza right about now. Taser sold half my DGB for a solid CVX CRV position. Feels good. Can't sell the other half, though. I know the feeling. You know, I've been with DGB for a long time. And, you know, it is what it is. Heck of a tech. It was the right idea back in 2014. It's the right idea to make those protocol changes. Yeah, but it is what it is. It's stagnant. The equity doesn't do anything. So you put capital in, but you can't take out a debt position. You can't provide liquidity, any meaningful liquidity, because just it's not lucrative. So the best way to describe how I look at the crypto space is opportunity cost, and there's just a massive amount of opportunity cost with a lot of assets. Um, Joe, I need to get this credit card paid off so I can allocate more of my income to my yield farms. Now, I fall into that category of like a financial planner slash advisor that says, got to pay off your debt. So I'm one of those guys. I'm not a fan of debt. Now, I know also from a business perspective, I've talked extensively about having debt positions or reasonably over collateralized debt positions to be lucrative. And I played around with, those types of balance sheet management methodologies. And we did that. Everyone here knows we played uh, Polygon and Polygon Ave and debt and curve and borrowing stables and putting them on a curve. So that it works. Don't get me wrong, and we have good experience from that. But I much prefer the luxury of no debt. So folks may say that that's not optimal or I'm missing out on gains, but that's part of my ideology as well. I will turn down the most capital gains possible in favor of less work, less responsibility, less risk. And I consider that a luxury and that unfortunately few get to experience. And that's just my mentality. I like to avoid debt because it's less responsibility. And to me, that's meaningful. So I would pay off the credit cards, my friend. Rad Dad's Code Lab. Dare to be different. Teach my kids this every day. Love your channel. Thank you. Thank you, sir. As I tell my daughters, my two little angels, tell them paper money? You want to pay with paper money? What is this paper? Cue the water world gif. Paper. It's paper. It's freaking paper. These schmucks in government are giving people paper. It's just so pathetic at this point. I'm sorry. These fiat currencies are so pathetic. It's just technologically ridiculous. Killis, love you too. Fife, do you have to provide an LP to earn VE curve, or can you just lock curve? It's just VE curve bear minus curve. So VE curve gives you governance rights, direct governance rights, whereas the derivative assets give you indirect governance rights, or maybe non existent currently, but eventually governance rights in theory, speculatively. And we expect governance management to come out with curve, convex, but it doesn't exist currently, like a DAO. So there is a consideration in that regard. So if your interest is purchasing V curve for governance rights, that's what the purchase. But if your interest is from a lucrative perspective, it's going to be more lucrative to go with the derivatives on Yearn or convex. And if you go with convex, it's also considerable for the Badger auto compounding positions. But you don't have to provide an LP. Owning Curve is owning revenue share rights for the Curve Forex platform. Jeffrey, 6 trillion changed hands in the Forex market every day. Can't wait till 1% of that makes its way to Curve. Why can't I provide liquidity to the Forex market? That's so annoying. So annoying. So that's why I like Curve, because it's analogous and it just makes sense to me. Brady's in the house. Always a pleasure. Charlie G, you own an everlasting pickle, an everlasting gobstopper. That's right. I own plenty of bunch of stuff, but you know. Anything else that's interesting? No, I saw this fast food punks, and I was like, all right, fine, whatever. It's just dollars. Anything's better than dollars. Why do you prefer treasuries over stablecoins yielding 8%? Because treasuries will go vertical in a deflationary implosion. Bond prices, the yields collapse, albeit that's where the central banks come in. The Fed probably doesn't want yields to go negative, but speculatively, the yields collapse, maybe go negative, and bond prices soar as everyone sells everything for dollars and bonds. So it's the speculative bet for a deflationary crash. Mixed, dataless or Yoroi wallets to stake with Cardano. If you do this, you choose the stake pool. So stake. So that's the only place you could stake Cardano is in the pools, the POS pools. That's right. Get around 10% with Matic on Celsius. Oh, you get 10%, my man. Listen, 10%. Take that, HSBC. Um, mix. Aren't they building all that stuff too? What? Who did? Who? Cardano? Possibly, but it doesn't exist today. I think that's what your point is. Aren't they building DeFi too? I don't speculate. I only allocate capital to now. I don't have I want to allocate capital to systems that are now that I could speculate on where they will be in the future. Meaning they may be building it, but you can't do anything now. There is no systems right now. And I don't care if it goes up 10x. I don't care. All I really care about is if I could put $100,000 in and I get $25,000 a year. I care about that equation. I don't care if the price of Cardano goes up 1,000 times on the money and I could have turned $1,000 into $1,000,000 because that's just not my mentality. And the same for almost every other asset in the crypto space. I don't want 1,000x returns. I want to know one more time, if I put in 100 grand, can I make X amount of dollars per day? And I could live my life on that equation. I could pay bills. I could take a salary. I could pay taxes. I could buy a property. I could pay rent with that equation. Matic is valuable to leverage like Curve, but on Poly, well, Matic also has a presence on Ethereum, but Matic is a lot of leverageable assets, meaning collateralizable assets. It's quite meaningful. Mix. Yeah, they're taking their sweet time, probably waiting for regulation and more investment. That's probably what it is. Um, I mean, it's probably waiting for regulation, and they let them do what they want to do. I think there's great value potentially building in the platform, and that's what I'm interested in. I have no qualms whatsoever with Cardano as a DeFi platform, but there's already a lot of DeFi platforms. Um, Oh my God, what was the platform that I'm waiting for? Someone mentioned it earlier. Oh my God, I'm so tired at this point. What's the platform? I'm scrolling up in the comments. I can't remember it. Oh my God. Anyway, it's the new DeFi platform that's coming out that everyone's waiting for. That got the XRP airdrop. Oh my God, someone comment real quick and help me on that one. I'm just so burnt out right now. What's the name of it? I can't believe it's slipping my mind. That's so embarrassing. Anyway, point being, I like protocols that are functional right now. I don't care if stuff goes up in value. I just that's just not the way my mind thinks. All right, let's wrap up the stream. Thank you everyone for joining me as always. Flair, Red Dad coming in with the Flair. So Flair, great. So Flair is close, and they're at the same position as Cardano because they're not released yet. We speculatively think it's going to be a great platform, and I've talked with the Flare devs vis-a-vis Digibyte community. Cool. I don't care if it goes up 10 times in value. When the protocol is released and I could take USDC or Ethereum and move it over to their network, I'll use it. That's the whole point. I'm indiscriminate of the network and the platform. I look forward to Avalanche. I look forward to uh, Phantom. Wonderful platforms. Solana, Cardano, Flare. Great. Make a platform where I could capitalize, and that sounds great to me. I'm not going to buy the asset though. I'm not going to buy Flare. I'm not going to buy Cardano. I'm not going to buy Solana, and more recently, I'm not going to buy Polygon and Matic. I just see too much opportunity cost. And that's just me. And I'm always transparent with you guys. 12:22 p.m. on a Monday, July 12th. As always, I thank everyone for joining. We got the after party on Discord. And as always, tell everyone to subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. Peace.